Summer is here and that means vegetables are in abundance. I planted zucchini this year and now I need a lot of recipes to actually use them. To be honest, zucchini are not my favorite vegetable. They're spongy and kind of flavorless. My wife will usually leave them on the plate for the most part. That, however, depends on how you prepare them. Today we're making zucchini fritters, crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside. Your family and friends will love this. It's a classic summer recipe in Turkey. There they call it micver. Served with a yogurt sauce, these fritters are fantastic as a side to any kind of grilled meat or even on their own. Stick around for a meaty version of this. They don't have to be all vegetarian if you want to have them as a main course. Let's dive right in. I'm starting with grating my zucchinis. Coarse side of a box grater. If you're using zucchini from your own yard or a source you trust, use them with the skin, much better flavor. Otherwise, peel them. Just to mention, you can make this dish with pretty much any vegetable from kale to carrot, or you use a wild mix of whatever you have. These things are perfect to use up stuff that grows in the yard. What gives these fritters substance is eggs and flour. Of course, zucchini, like pretty much any vegetable, contain a hell of a lot of water. So we want to get rid of some of that, but not too much. We still want them to be nice and soft on the inside. For that, we're going to salt our shredded zucchini. Mix it well, and then we're going to let this sit for a few minutes. And while we're waiting for those zucchinis to drain, set up a high-walled pot with about ½ an inch of oil or your favorite frying fat. Clarified butter would be really nice for the flavor, but that's a pretty expensive choice. I simply add a nub of butter to my frying oil for extra flavor without breaking the bank. Now would be a good time to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel, so you don't miss another episode. If I'm squeezing, there's a lot of water coming out of this. I'm just squeezing this in a sieve, so that way it's easier to separate the water. Now grate an onion into it. You want the onion grated and not cut. You want the juices and the extra flavor to come out of them. So I'm using my trusty box grater again, but of course feel free to use a mini chopper or a food processor. As you can see, this is pretty sad business. So now I'm quickly stirring the onions in. That reduces the amount of gases that come out of them. The worst part is taken care of. Now we add our eggs and our flour. Stir that in. Add a generous amount of black pepper. Add a spoonful of baking powder and make sure it's nicely distributed, so sprinkle it over. Or you could actually mix it in with the flour in the first place, that would distribute it better. And then there's an optional ingredient. I'm adding a tablespoon of nigella seeds, also called black cumin or kalonji. They add a nice flavor compound that elevates this fritter from fritter to Middle Eastern specialty. The last ingredient is some kind of herb. Usually it's dill, but it's too warm for it to grow and I couldn't find any in the supermarket. Therefore, I'm using cilantro. You could, of course, use pretty much any other herb you like, basil or parsley or mint. I would stay away from stuff like marjoram or oregano because this is a summer dish, it needs something light. Quickly stir that in. Now for the promised meaty version of things. At this point, you could just add some ground meat. Or you could, for example, add some chopped up shrimp if you're into seafood. I'm just using a little bit of ground beef to show you what they're going to look like in the end. There we go. And to speed things up, working with a glove and mixing it by hand is much quicker. There. Make sure your frying oil is at a comfortable 320 degrees or somewhere around there. They will flatten out on their own. You don't want too regular a shape because you want some super crispy bits and some soft bits. You want the entire spectrum of texture. There, once they're nice and golden brown, flip them a couple of times so that they're even on both sides. See, we have some nice crunchy crispy bits on the outside and they're still squishy. You can't feel that, but I do. Keep going until you run out of dough. To make this a little bit nicer, I'm preparing a simple seasoned yogurt that goes as a dip together with this. In the bowl, regular yogurt, I wouldn't use the low-fat variation. I would just use the whole milk or a Greek yogurt. We're not going to do much into that yogurt. Goes a little bit of pepper, pinch of salt, and a little bit of garlic. You could, of course, do some herbs like mint or something, but by the end of the day, you could just use plain yogurt or sour cream and it would still be great. Let me quickly turn my remaining fritters here. Now just mix this up. Now look at those. This is the meat one. See how nice those are? Nice and squishy on the inside and crisp on the outside. And here we have a vegetarian one. Phenomenal. That's what they should look like. And if you want to see another Middle Eastern dish, you should watch my gözleme recipe next.